Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. You're about to see my full reading vlog of House of Flame and Shadow. This is a full spoiler reading vlog. It's just impossible to read a third book in the series that's over 800 pages and not give spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, I don't recommend watching this. Just save this video to watch later. I had a lot of different emotions while reading this book and I can't wait for you guys to see it. So without further ado, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's get started. Happy House of Flame and Shadow release day. I have it on my Kindle and I'm genuinely like shaking with excitement. I don't remember the last time I was so excited to read a book. I have so many emotions and I feel like I cannot start reading this book because it's been so long and I'm so attached and emotional about it, and also I just I don't know, I just feel paralyzed and I just can't wait. I can't wait to read it. I have to go to work and I'll come home and read, and you probably won't get a lot of clips of me like reading, but I will recap everything that I read at the end of the day, and this will be full spoilers because I don't know how to make a reading vlog of an 800-page book non-spoiler. Please read the book before you watch. I can't wait to see what happens and see my reactions. I don't have a ton of theories just because there's so many things, especially the end of the last book really opened up with some theories and I did just too many to count, so I genuinely can't wait. I spent all of yesterday watching recap videos, reading summaries, just really making sure that I am ready and educated to go for this book. Let's get started. So today I read 300 pages. I'm going to be talking about part 1 in this clip. Honestly, pretty impressed with myself. It was a very emotional day in reading because I have not been with SJM characters and the world, honestly, in so long since House of Sky and Breath came out, and so I forgot how emotionally attached I get to her stories. She had something that just makes me so attached. I did a lot of reading, most of it on my phone at work, so not a ton of clips of me reading, but I am pretty deadpan when I read. I don't really show a lot of emotions, but I made a ton of notes. I'm gonna be talking about this. My first thought, the first couple of pages when we're seeing all the characters and kind of reacclimating ourselves with where they are, I felt like the whole thing was a different book language-wise, and it could be because I hadn't read from the characters' perspectives or I hadn't read this world in a long time, but the language seemed a lot more explicit than I remembered, and I was like, whoa, this just feels like a different book. Right away I was really into it. I think that she did a really good job of making us feel right at home with the story. Love Therian. I think that he is a character that makes a lot of mistakes, and we see throughout part 1 him grappling really with ethics and the mistakes and the cost that it had for him. Also, the characters are really tight-knit. We get to really see that, especially when Rune and Hunt and Hellhound are being tortured and they are sticking to their guns. That was really devastating for me to read about because it really gave me PTSD from reading about Aileen in the last book of Throne of Glass, and so it wasn't like they were being tortured for a couple of chapters and then that was it. I was surprised that Sarah J. Maas kept them being tortured in the torture chamber for the entirety of part 1. They escape at the end of part 1. She goes into explicit details of them being tortured and them losing fingernails and stuff like that, and it was really honestly gut-wrenching to read about because it just reminded me so much of Aileen. Because this is already a multiverse story, I was just being reminded so much of that, and just seeing the characters, especially Hunt, feeling like he had failed and he had failed Bryce and all of that stuff. It would just honestly made me tear up at work. The three of them do get out, but they're severely injured, broken. Obviously, Rune just can't stop crying. I will say I found the interaction between Rune and Daybright in the first part really interesting because of course Daybright, she's doing what she had to do, but Rune cannot forgive her. He is just mad at her, he hates her, and you just really watch her grapple with that and watch how she still cares so much about him and will do anything to get get him out of there. So I think the complex politics is really interesting, following their 3 stories and also their interaction with Daybright was really interesting. Also, we get a lot of like new perspectives. We're following so many people, especially in part 1, and we get to see a lot of perspectives that we have never dived deep into. Okay, let's talk about Ethan Holstrom, because he is a huge part of this first part of the book. He rescues a mystic from the tank, and she is the lost fender, so she can challenge Sabine, who is like the evil werewolf, and be like a good ruler. She's an alpha, and when they go to the Viper Queen to rescue Therian, the Viper Queen tells Ethan that if he is able to fight one person and win, then all of them will be free. So he ends up having to fight the lost fender wolf, and he is just so upset about this, and I really felt for him. I did not see that coming. I should have saw that coming. I never see these things coming. And what ends up happening is he accidentally ends up killing her. She's a very new werewolf with her powers, so she turned too fast as he was aiming for her shoulder, and he like basically severed her head off of her body, and it's really traumatic, and he is torn up over it. He feels like he let everybody down. He let his brother down. That was something for me really like hit me, because when you have characters in books do something so severe like that, they can't come back from that, and everything that they do from now on will be affected by that. So I'm excited to see like what happens with the story. He did leave the group at the end of part 1 to go down to the House of Flame and Shadow to try to see if he could talk to the dead, because he's just not over the fact that he killed someone that he didn't want to kill. Like, he feels worthless. So much going on in this first part. Of course, I haven't talked about the most important thing, and the thing that everyone wants to talk about, ACOTAR. Listen, I can't tell you that I am disappointed by what she chose to do and the way that she chose to incorporate the ACOTAR characters, but I can't tell you that I'm ecstatic and over the moon about it. So basically, we're following all the different plot lines, and we're following Bryce in the ACOTAR world. She is in an interrogation chamber with Rhysand, Nesta, Amren, and Azrael. She ends up in these caves, and Nesta and Azrael end up like following her, and they go on a little adventure. And in that adventure, Bryce finds out, they always say like cult to like, all of the little trove things are connected. And Bryce also finds out the in-depth history of her ancestors and what really happened with the players of the game 15,000 years ago when they left the ACOTAR world to go into Midgard and feed on all the humans, and they basically massacred all of them, and it is just like a devastating history, and Bryce is really, really upset. So she actually finds that there is one more Astari on Prythian, and so she wakes it up after 15,000 years, which Nesta and Azrael are like, what the hell, like, why would you do that? And she starts to question it, and they literally cannot kill it. And then Nesta actually ends up killing it, and Bryce is like, oh my god, like, this is crazy. I cannot believe that my ancestors are horrible people, and I don't know how we're ever gonna come back from this. And then she ends up fighting Nesta and Azrael and leave the ACOTAR world to go back to Midgard. All of that happens at the end of part 1, and when she goes back to her world. The ACOTAR characters were in the book. I honestly don't know, because I'm only at the end of part 1. The ACOTAR characters could reappear later on in the book, but I don't think that they will. It was a very clear like, okay, bye guys, this part of the quest is over. Also, Bryce has the horn engraved in her, so she's like the only one that can move between worlds. So I can't see her wanting to go back to the ACOTAR world. Like, she wasn't besties with any of the characters. I've seen people like upset that Feyre wasn't in it because she was the main female character in ACOTAR. I don't care. Like, I personally never liked Feyre. I'm a little disappointed by reading it, obviously, because I was so excited about ACOTAR and those characters being in Crescent City. So the fact that they were in it for like 250 pages, I would say. Like, they were in it all throughout part 1, so it was a significant part, but like I was hoping for more. I think we were all hoping for more, but then I have to remember that's not an ACOTAR book. They don't play a huge part. It's super cool as a fan, obviously, to see like the overlaps and just the way the characters are interacting with each other. But my problem with Sky and Breath is kind of happening right now. 300 pages in, I feel like nothing really is happening. Guys were getting tortured. They just got out. Ethan is having this little drama, and Bryce just entered back her world, and so I still have a long way of the book to go. I think I'm only like 25%, 30% of the way through. Yeah, I'm so tired from like reading all day and then having class, but I wanted to give you a quick recap of what is going on. My thoughts on this is I don't feel super strongly one way or the other. Like, I'm still waiting to see what's gonna happen. Nothing insane has happened other than Ethan killing the alpha, but we didn't get to know her long enough where I feel like anybody would be emotionally invested, because I wasn't emotionally invested. So I'm just waiting to see what will happen. I really hope like Throne of Glass characters make an appearance. I hope we get more multiverse moments. I don't know if we will, but at this point there's just still so much that I don't know. Also crazy because I feel like I've been reading all day and I'm only at the end of part 1. So we're gonna keep going, and I will see you tomorrow because I gotta go to bed, but I'm so excited to keep reading, and I genuinely have no idea where the story is gonna go. Like, don't know. I'm genuinely so numb right now. Like, literally, what is going on? What is going on? Okay. I need to go on a walk. I have been reading all day. I've only hit page 500, which I'm not even to part 3 yet. Yeah, part 3. Sorry, my brain doesn't work because it's just like crazy. But I have some thoughts. First of all, nothing like crazy has happened yet. We were led to believe that Lydia died for 0.2 seconds, and that was the most dramatic and most emotional response that I have felt so far, because I was just really like hoping for some more scenes with her and Rune. But we literally get alerted the next chapter that she is alive. I wish that Sarah J. Maas not killed her, but like killed someone, done something to be more dramatic. I literally am probably saying that and something horrible is gonna happen down the line. I would say the most shocking thing that's happened so far is that Lydia had kids. Like, she had twins running around on a boat, and we learn that she had kids through a random mate. Not like a mate, but like she was partaking in some sex ritual and then got pregnant and then was trying to hide the kids from her evil dad, and that's how they landed there. That's how she became indebted to the Ocean Queen and became a secret spy. So I really like Lydia's story. I think it's good. I also think that Lydia and Rune are a very interesting case because there's so much emotional stuff that happens. So both of their feelings towards each other are so valid. It's really giving Lysandra and Adian vibes from Throne of Glass. At the point that I am, they have like forgiven each other, and they like definitely really like each other. So I just love them. I do love them. I think that Lydia having children is like the most shocking thing that has happened so far at the point of the book. Also, something that I want to say is that this book is reading like Throne of Glass. The first two didn't. I didn't like the second one that much, but this is reading very much Empire Storm. It's giving adventure, it's giving scheming, it's giving plotting, it's giving following multiple different characters, it's giving something shocking is about to happen. I gotta say, I really enjoy that. It's really giving me those Throne of Glass vibes, and Throne of Glass is my favorite series ever. However, I see like where we're going within the series, but it doesn't have like a super clear-cut mission for me yet. Like, I'm kind of enjoying the ride. I don't really know where we're going from here. Again, I haven't even reached part 3 yet. I'm around the 500 page mark. Also, I don't care about the whole storyline with Ethan Holstrom. He's trying to raid Sigrid from the dead right now, and I literally don't care. Like, I don't care about his guilt and his shame. He did what he had to do, in my opinion, and his storyline, I hope, gets more interesting, but I just don't. I don't really care. Bryce reunited with Hunt after she was very schemy with the Autumn King. She led him to believe that he captured her, but she was actually playing him the whole time. I loved that storyline. I thought that whole thing was very, very interesting. It fooled me. Like, I thought that she accidentally teleported there, but I should have known better. She was giving Aileen. It was giving Aileen. So yeah, I will check in when I finally reach part 3, but I wanted to check in between and then just say that nothing crazy has happened yet. Therian did get married to Flynn's sister to save her from a horrible fate. I thought that was good. He was very selfish, obviously, for marrying her, but I'm very interested to see where these are going. I think that Sarah is weaving together multiple different plot points, and I'm just excited to see where they go. I'm sorry if the audio is weird. I'm not wearing my hearing aids, so I can't really hear myself talk right now, so I hope. Sometimes I like whisper and barely speak and think that I'm screaming, and other times I'm screaming. So hopefully it's good. We're finishing part 2 tonight. Something I want to say is Bryce and Hunt just got reunited after like so much trauma, and they're literally fighting each other. They're having these stupid petty fights with each other, and it's so confusing to me. I'm like, why are we fighting right now? And I'll give you an example. So the most recent fight that they had, so Hunt, he does believe in the cause and what they're fighting for, but he also is a little bit more hesitant than Bryce because he doesn't want to see all of his friends and his family die and his mate. Like, he doesn't want Bryce to die. And so Bryce is like really mad about this. She's like, why don't you believe in this cause? And he goes, listen, like, I don't believe in it 100%, but I love you so much that I will go along with it. Like, I will follow you to whatever end. And Bryce goes, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. Literally, what? That just like threw me. Like, I was taken aback by that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that the fighting is a little unnecessary. Like, they obviously love each other. Like, there's a sex scene, but the little fighting, it just really unnecessary. Another thing that's interesting is, so right now they're in caves in this land searching for information on how to defeat the Astari. And Bryce notices that the caves in their land is almost identical, if not identical, to the caves as the land in ACOTAR. That's really interesting. Obviously, like, the land itself aren't identical, but that the caves were identical. So I'm wondering if we'll see like more of the multiverse, I guess you could say, because we had like 200 pages, but I want more. I want more overlap, and I know that we're probably not gonna get it, and it was just like a little side overlap, but I just need more. Also, Rune and Lydia are literally perfect. I love them. I love them so much. I love Rune. I will be finishing part 2 tonight, so I will update you when I finished part 2. What is going on? Don't have inside. I did it. I reached part 3. I definitely need to stop for tonight. This is like 580, I think. Almost 600 pages, but holy moly. So much happened. So much to talk about. I can't process it. My brain is literally fried. So number 1, Bryce and Hunt find a way to go to hell, like their minds go to hell and talk to the little demons, but their bodies stayed in the cave. So they talk to these 2 princes of hell, and it is revealed that they essentially made Hunt for Bryce. Like, they made him hoping that the timelines would coincide where Bryce and Hunt would meet, and he would like feel her power. And they find this out because the princes keep calling him son, and he's like, what the heck? That is really crazy to me. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I feel like Sarah just like she put so much into that last part 2. I'm just like, what is going on? So Hunt is having like a crisis. He's like, what? Who am I? He did ask, did you guys make us to be mates? And they said no. So I guess that had to be relieving. So the princes of hell say that, hey, they said that she split her power into 3 parts. Bryce had 2. She needs to find the 3rd part, and then she can kill the Astari, open up a portal in the nowhere and suck them in. So that's what she's trying to do. They meet the Princes of Hell, figure that out, and then once they got back, the Autumn King is there with the other king of the land. Obviously you can see like how fried my brain is, and Rune ends up killing their father, literally like beheads him, and he talks about the prophecy that he like was grappling with all of book 2 about how the bloodline would end with him, and he was saying the bloodline's ending with me because I don't accept to wear the crown, like I'm giving it to my sister. And so that was like a whoa moment. And then Bryce kills the other king and then the mist of the land gets lifted up and it's like a beautiful place, and Rune and Bryce are crying tears of happiness, and Bryce now has control of the mist of the land, so it can act as like a refuge for refugees coming in and seeking safety. While everybody is celebrating, they find out that Pollux and the whole Ridiculous, the whole evil crew had went in and attacked every single human rebel base and camp and killed everybody. And that's how part 2 ends. Listen, am I crazy, or is it not giving Throne of Glass? Like, it's giving Empire of Storms, because at the end of Empire of Storms, everything seems so hopeless. Like, we don't see any way out of the situation. It seems like they're gonna lose the war, but then all of a sudden, like, Sarah makes them win. And right now, everything seems hopeless. Like, they literally killed all the humans. Like, literally what? Like, I'm so numb. Like, why did we have to do that? Why did we have to kill everybody? But also, does it hit as hard when we don't know any of the humans? That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it would hit harder if we knew someone that died. But also, I still have like 300 pages left to go, so I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's just like shocking at the end because they had this like high of lifting the mist and just having hope for the future, and then finding out that their enemies like killed all the humans. Like, literally what? I genuinely have no idea what's going on. I just at this point want more Rune and Lydia, because that is what's getting me through the day. Like, I am liking it so far because so much is going on, unlike the last 2 books, and it's giving Throne of Glass, but also I'm gonna have to like give my full thoughts at the end, but that's what's happening right now. Also, Bryce has an inner monologue where she said that she feels like she needed to go to Prythian, ACOTAR land, not only to find out all of the information and to get Truth Teller Adriel's sword, but also as a reminder that Faye can be good because Nesta and Adriel was so good. And I thought that was so sweet. Like, that made me tear up a little bit. That she was talking about how Nesta and Adriel were just so good. I love that. I do think that Ethan is going to reunite with the crew pretty soon into part 3, so I'm excited for that. I'm definitely finishing the book tomorrow, so I'm excited to finish it. I'm glad that the Autumn King is dead, because he was a horrible guy. I do think that the writing in this book is really easy to understand. Like, it is way easier for me to follow the plot and understand what's happening, even with so many POVs, because the first book was just like so confusing. But I need to go to bed. I am kind of sick, under the weather, but I also have a 4-hour car ride, so I'm not gonna sleep, even though my body's begging me to. I'm gonna read. I'm finishing this book today. We're finishing, so let's get into it. I'm a little shook because Bryce and Hunt opened a portal, and we all thought, I mean, I shouldn't have thought that what Sarah was telling me was what Sarah was gonna give me, but I trusted her, so I thought that Bryce and Hunt were going to open a portal to hell. They opened a portal back to ACOTAR, and Nesta reappeared in the book. Bryce asked Nesta for the mask, and as collateral, she said that she would give Nesta her parents, like literally trade her parents to this other realm, with her parents not knowing. Her parents literally think that they're there to help her. She literally takes the mask from Nesta. Nesta agrees to give her the mask, and Hunt shoves her parents through the portal, and they're like obviously shocked and confused. And Bryce knows that it's selfish, but she doesn't care because her parents are human and they're easy targets. And so she just shoves them through, and she knows that they'll be safe even if she doesn't survive to give the mask back to Nesta. And it's just leaving me shocked. And also, her plan is to raise an army of dead. Like, literally, when did that ever end well? When did that ever end well. I'm also confused about how these princes and how Hel is just like good and they're allies. It's just like kind of confusing to me because obviously that's not what you would think. I am shocked. I am glad that Nesta and the mask reappeared. Obviously Sarah never does anything just like to do it. Like she always has a plan, and Nesta using the mask made sense for why Bryce would ask for the mask again, but I'm just kind of sure. So I'm gonna keep reading and I'll keep you updated. But okay, so some update. Tharian went with his wife to beg the River Queen to take in refugees, and I feel like we're led to believe that she is an evil being and an evil creature, but like to her credit, she is letting all the refugees in, so play for her. But the big thing that just happened is there's actually two things that happened. Number one, after Bryce and Hunt opened the portal, showed the parents in, Celestina is there, and oh my god, Hunt is like in a rage trying to kill her, but Bryce stopped him, and Hunt literally said, I have never hated Bryce ever, but when she doubted me killing her, I hated her. Like, be so real. This is what I don't understand, is that obviously they're mates and obviously he loves her, but he literally said that he hated Bryce in that moment for her having him show mercy. I think that's crazy. Like, that's crazy that he can like switch so fast and then just be like, oh, I love you. So that writing to me, and the writing as a whole between Bryce and Hunt on Sarah's part had just been confusing to me the whole time, but I literally had to reread that part 3 times. Hunt literally said he hated Bryce, so that's a little weird. And then Hunt was able to break the crown on his head that held him a slave because the Princess of Hell said that he could, but he didn't think he could, and then he would just like so mad and overcome with rage that he broke the halo, and he also broke somebody else's halo. So that was interesting. Also, the other big update, the reason why I came to update you is because Ethan, who is now Prime, went to the Underking to demand that he speak with his brother Connor, who is dead. He'd been dead since the first book. I love Connor. Connor is like my favorite character, even though we hardly get to know him, and begs for time with Connor, and he gets granted the time with Connor. I'm literally almost in tears, and then he ends up killing the Underking. He helped Hypaxia kill the Underking because she dealt the killing blow. She is now the ruler of House of Flame and Shadow. Then Connor gives Ethan a bullet filled with first light from all the dead, and there's like a cute little moment because Ethan is like, but then you'll be gone forever, and Connor's like, well, I'm already gone. Like, this is just my last good deed, and genuinely so sad. Like, really so sad because I love Connor. And that's just crazy. Like, development in the plot, I don't know what's going on because I feel like House of Sky and Breath, nothing happened, and it was still such a long book, but this book, so much is happening. I just like, my head is like all over the place, and it's just crazy. It's just wild. But yeah, we're finishing today. Like, I don't have that much longer to go, so we're finishing. I saw an interview with Sarah J Maas where she said that Crescent City wasn't over and there was more Crescent City happening, but this whole book so far seems so epic and there's so much battle stuff happening. I genuinely don't know how there's gonna be another book. Like, I don't know, like, where is there to go from this? So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Unless like something horrible happens with their plan and they don't get to kill all the story, then they could be pushed back. But I genuinely don't want to read another almost 1,000-page book of them giving up for this fight. But also this seems like so epic that I don't know how or where she would go with the book. But that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm like, literally so much is going on. Okay, I'm on chapter 97 and I'm gonna film myself reading and tell the rest of the book I only have 5 chapters left, and I'm sorry that I haven't stopped more periodically, but when I read and when I get into something, like, I am into it and I'm so invested and I can't stop. But I wrote down little notes along the way and I have some thoughts. So before I read the rest of the book and get just destroyed, I'm gonna tell you my thoughts. So number one, I think it's funny that Tharion's wife left him not where I thought the story would go. I have really not a ton of thoughts about that because we didn't get to know her that much. I feel like there could have been more to that. Also, can I just say how much I love Rune and Lydia. Like, I love them last book, but this book is literally, I'm in love with them so much, and just like the care that he has for her, and also her understanding the complexities of their relationship because of everything that she's had to do, like, to protect her sons. Like, I don't know, I just love them. Also, I'm just like exhausted by this fight. Like, I just wish it to be over in this book. I just can't. I can't take another book full of this. Like, I'm just so tired of it, but I am enjoying the reading experience. Lydia goes to face Pollux and rescue her 2 sons, and Rune literally shoots her in the thigh to protect her, which is so messed up. And so obviously, like, Lydia's really mad at Rune, and Rune does it out of love, but what the heck? Like, why? I wouldn't forgive him either. Like, that is crazy that he did that. But turns out Lydia ends up taking some antidote to remove the poison out of her blood, and so she erupts into fire, and that's like the power that she has in her vein that's been suppressed by the antidote. And what's really cool about that is that she appeared to Rune as Daybright in book 2 as a bundle of fire. It's because she was showing up as her true form. Like, I just love it. So obviously, like, Sarah was thinking beyond in books. That was great. And Lydia ends up incinerating Pollux, as she should. And obviously she forgives Rune, and Rune is like taking care of the kids while she's going around the city and blowing people up with her fire. So I love them. I love that storyline. Also, we discover that when Rune takes the antidote, he has healing magic, which I think is just really cool. I think it's really, really cool. So where we are now in the book, Bryce opened a portal to nowhere and she ended up killing an Astari. So now she goes and she sees the remainder of them and she's with Hunt and she's trying to kill them all, basically, but she ends up opening a portal and sucks them all in, and she ends up sucking herself in. So she is essentially like just in this portal, dead along with the Astari. So now we only have 5 more chapters left to go. Again, there's so much happening. I'm enjoying my reading experience so much, and I'm ready to finish it. So we're gonna finish it. Hunt's dead lover is helping him go into this black hole and save Bryce. At the end of chapter 98, we find out that Bryce is dead, but I'm not buying it because I'm not buying it. So we'll see. There's no way the main character can be dead. So Jessica ended up trading her life for Bryce, and she goes into the afterworld, wherever Bryce is. She tells her, and Bryce sees Connor and Danica. And she knows that her friends are happy and they're safe and they're loved, even though we've been led to believe that they have no soul. And Connor literally told Ethan that he's gone. Jessica says, what is eternal, what is made of love, can never be destroyed. So Bryce was completely content with staying there because her best friends who have been brutally murdered are there. But now she knows that they're at peace and she can go ahead and return to Hunt. Oh my god. I just need to go cry. I can't. That totally took me out. Bryce go to return the mask, and literally Cassian and next to Nesta, and I'm such a Cassian girly. This is, it's so good. It's literally so good. Bryce just gave Nesta the 8-pointed star with the sword, and she said, I think the 8-pointed star was tattooed on you for a reason. Take the sword and go figure out why. That means we get more Nesta in the next ACOTAR book. Just the exchange between her parents saying goodbye. It was just so cute and heartwarming. I just finished. No crazy cliffhanger at the end like the last book, but I still have so many thoughts and I just need to take a couple hours, but I'll be back. I cannot believe we finished that in 3 days. I cannot believe we did that. Hi guys, it is the next day. I've had some time to think about the ending and just everything, so I'm gonna give my final thoughts. One thing I will say is I found on Reddit a link to a Google Drive that has all 5 bonus chapters. I'll link it down below. I read them all. They were all very good. My least favorite was Bryce and Hunt. I didn't think that really added anything, but the rest were really, really good. The one that I really liked that took me by surprise was the Books A Million, which is Bryce's parents. It shows them landing in ACOTAR land and how Bryce's mom really bonded with Nesta, and I just loved it. Of course, Rune and Lydia chapters were so good, and so I'm glad that we have the internet and we have access to all of that, so the bonus chapters were really, really good. It was very good to read, and I wasn't shocked that I had finished this giant book. I was not able to settle on a rating until this morning. I have literally dreamed about this book all night. It was a crazy experience. I do have thoughts that I want to share with you. Number one, and my biggest thought that I have after finishing the book is I genuinely do not know how we're gonna have a 4th Crescent City. Sarah did say that we were, but the book wrapped up really, really nicely. There was no plot twist at the end. It just, everything wrapped up really, really nicely. We had this huge threat to society and they solved the threat, and now all is good. Like, all is good with everybody. So I don't know how we're gonna have a 4th Crescent City. I don't know if we need a 4th Crescent City. It did end really well. The threats were taken care of, we solved everything, and that was kind of it. Something that I'm a little disappointed about is Tharian. His wife left him and he went back to go look for her at the end of the book, and we don't really get any sort of resolution on that, so maybe we'll find out more about that in the 4th book, but I think that was kind of a loose end. Also, we need to talk about the crossover between Crescent City and ACOTAR. I know a lot of people are disappointed by how that happened. I'm not disappointed because, again, it was a Crescent City book, so it's not like we were expecting, or I was expecting, to see a ton of ACOTAR characters. Again, I think that Sarah has to write the book where you don't need to read one to read the other. So I don't think she could have had a ton of things happen in Crescent City with the ACOTAR characters that would have made a difference if you hadn't read Crescent City, if that makes sense. And there are a couple of things that I think we'll see in the next ACOTAR book that will be like little Easter eggs for those of us that have read Crescent City, but it's nothing that's like super intense where you have to read one to read the other. I like the crossover. We didn't get any Throne of Glass. I guess I'm disappointed because that's my all-time favorite book series, but I get it, and those characters have been through so much, so we can leave them alone. But I do think that it was a little bit overhyped. Like, yes, that's a big deal, and when I was reading it, I like almost couldn't believe what I was reading because it was that crazy to me, but it wasn't anything like super intense. I also really loved that we got to see Nesta's and Az's friendship. I feel like we don't get a ton of that in ACOTAR, so that was really fun to read. Also, I will say that everything seemed to resolve itself really easily. Like, all of the evil people that died and got taken care of, I don't feel like there was a ton of struggle. Like, there was a ton more struggle in Throne of Glass, and of course, like, this is only book 3, and we didn't get like a ton of the struggle in the first book that like followed something a little bit different. So I do feel like there almost could have been another book like detailing more adventure and more struggles, because it did seem to me like everything was solved pretty easily and tied up nicely with a bow. Like it didn't seem like any of the characters were struggling that much in particular. It did seem a little bit easy. It did also seem, and it felt like I was reading Throne of Glass, which I really liked on one hand because that's my favorite series of all time, but also like it just felt really similar. Also, the language that she used was really similar. Like I don't know how many times she said like called to like. That was used all throughout ACOTAR, and it was used a ton in this Crescent City book. Like it kind of annoyed me. And just like some of the phrases that she would use, like you can tell it's Sarah J Maas because she used it over and over again, and that kind of irritated me. Like I wish that we got a little bit more intricate writing, I guess. Like a little bit more thought going into the writing instead of just like called to like yes, we know. Also, along with things happening too easily, I feel like some things happened, like a lot of things happened that didn't really make any sense. Like if you break them down, they wouldn't make sense, but Sarah would just like, oh, this happened and it's fine, it makes sense. And so we were just like, oh, okay. Like I had so many thoughts where I was like, that doesn't make any sense, but I guess it just, Sarah just made a bunch of things happen, and I think it's because it was convenient to her writing, so it was like a little bit lazy. It felt a little bit lazy. However, I really did enjoy my reading experience in this book more than I did any other Crescent City book. The first one was super confusing. The second one, it felt like nothing happened until the very end. So this one was my favorite Crescent City book, but there were still major issues with it. I know that some people were annoyed that in the middle of chapters they would change POVs, like literally no warning. Like the next paragraph we're following someone completely different. It didn't really bother me that much because it was pretty easy to catch on to, but there were some moments where I was like, whoa, like this is just switching really fast. I think overall I'm gonna give it a 4-star rating. Again, loved my reading experience. I laughed, I cried, there were some really emotional moments, but there were also some really confusing things and some things that I was just like, whoa, that doesn't make sense, wait a minute here. But I am glad I read it, and I'm curious to see where the series goes. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I don't really do a ton of reading vlogs on here, but I hope you liked it nonetheless. I am going to go take a very big nap now and probably read a fluffy romance, and I'll see you next time. Bye.